Hello there, everyone. How are you? Happy Higher Self Wednesday to you. Hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful week. This is the week of Independence Day. We're starting a new series on step 7. I'm so excited, and I just hope everything's going good with you. You've been going to your meetings, you've been reading your literature, staying focused so that your life is at least manageable. And that's definitely what we can promise you in this program. Anyway, I'm Karen White, and I am the author of this book, Changing the Game Plan, which is my 12-step journey on how I work these 12 steps with 4 great sponsors in my lifetime of being in the program. I've been in these rooms over 34 years, and I'm in both sides of these rooms. I know about the addictive side as well as I know about the non-side. And the addictive side is like AA, NA, Overeaters Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Sex Anonymous. That's your addictive side. And then your non-side is like Al-Anon, Nar-Anon, CODA, any of those types of groups. That's the family and the friends. And I've been privileged to be in both of them. Anyway, I'm so excited. I love coming to you on Higher Self Wednesdays because that gives me a chance to study the steps so I can talk to you about the steps. And of course, I don't know about you, but I am learning a lot about these steps. No matter how many times I read it, no matter how many times I go through it, I always learn. And I'm just so excited. Anyway, thank you guys for all your support. I always like to thank you because I'm getting so much love and just so much, attention from all of you guys and support. And thank you for buying the book. The book is meant to work with someone. You cannot work this book alone. It's meant to work with your sponsor, a clergyman, someone. It's available on Amazon.com, but remember, it is meant to work with someone. It's broke up into 2 parts. It's broke up into sponsorship and sponsee. So you need to have somebody with you to work this for, to work it out and to see everything. Anyway, for all of you guys that are trying to reach me and say, Karen, we want to know, can you speak, on Zoom? Can you speak at our local meetings or whatever? I'm at Programchild.net, and there's a contact form there, and you can contact me at any time through Programchild.net. So go out there, contact me. I'll reach out to you within 72 hours or so and get back to you. And yes, if I'm available, I'd be more than happy to speak. Anyway, I'm so excited. We got to get started because I only like to take up anywhere from 20 to 30, no more past 30 minutes on these Higher Self Wednesdays. That way you can listen to them again. You can share them. Make sure you always come prepared with your literature. If you're not in your work, when you get home, open up your literature and start studying it too. I hope that these Higher Self Wednesdays are making you want to study the steps and also work the steps as well. Anyway, let's get started. You know how I like to do it. I always like to start off by telling you what the definitions are for every word in the step. And that's so important because you know what? I found out that most of the words that were in the step, I didn't even know what the words were. I didn't even know what they meant. And I was so glad that my sponsor had me to look up every single word in the step because we 12-step program people, if we don't understand it, we don't do anything. We don't move, we don't change, we don't do anything. And the reason that the 12-step program is so good for people like me is because it's always giving me an understanding of how I am, an understanding of how you are, an understanding of how they are, an understanding of what I need to do. It's just such an understanding program. And with that, it makes me want to change and it makes me want to follow and do things and be better. And it makes me excited about my life and it gives me hope. hope that I'm going to get better. I hope that I'm going to change, and I am better, and I have changed, and I continue to change. It's never stopping. I'm always getting better, always, every day, waking up and getting better. So let's jump in. We're at step 7. And step 7 says, humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. And, 6 and 7 are very, very simple, but they're very, very changing for us. And you can't get to 7 unless you work 1 through 6. I always say these steps are in order. You can't just come to step 7 and say, oh, I want you to remove my shortcomings. That's not how it works. You have to work these steps in order to be able to benefit from them. So this step right here, very simple. You're just going to humbly ask God to remove your shortcomings. And so humble, it is really interesting what it says. Humble, to destroy the pride of humility, to cause to be meek or modest in spirit. Isn't that something? To destroy the pride of, and it says humiliate. And so it's, it's just coming to that point where you just get humble and you just give up everything, and you've tried it all and it has not worked. This is how this step made me feel. I had tried it all, it had not worked. Now I'm here. I'm at step 7, and by the time you get to step 7, you know some things about yourself. You know how you're ticking. You know what's setting you off. You know why it's setting you off, what the circumstances, why you've been taught that way, or you've assumed that this is the way things are going to be, or how you were supposed to work them. In step 7. The next word says ask. It says to put a question to seek an answer to seek information about. Isn't that powerful? So you humbly, you destroy, you come down, and then you ask, and it says him. And it's interesting because when I looked up him, it said her or his imperial majesty. And that's definitely my higher power, which I choose to call God. And I just thought that was so perfect that him meant imperial majesty. And 2 is in a direction towards, so as to reach, which is very powerful. And then remove means to move from a place or position occupied, to transfer, to convey from one place to another. This is so important. We're going to get back to this word because not all your character defects are supposed to be gone. It says to move from a place or position occupied. I love that. To transfer or convey from one place to another. Most of my character defects, they were just out of character. I had to move them into the proper space, and the only way I could do that is to get the proper understanding. Now, there are those character defects that, yes, we have to get rid of. They got to go, but those are very few, and in between, most of these character defects, we just got to put them in the right perspective, in the right category, and learn how to put them and use them in a different way. Ours means of, belonging to, or associated in some way with us. Belonging to or associate with all people or people in general. I love the 12 steps because they're always going to put us, them, we, they, something, ours, to let us know we are not by ourselves. So whoever's out there right now, I want you to know there's a lot of people like you that think like you, that act like you. Come on in these rooms. You'll meet a lot of people like you. And you are okay, and you are not as different as you think. And yes, you can be helped. If you want it, it's there for you, and you can change your life too. Shortcomings means a deficiency, a flaw, a failing, defect, or deficiency. Failure, defect, or deficiency in conduct, condition, thought, and ability. Love it. Deficiency in my conduct. This is what, when I got to here, I knew the deficiencies in my conduct. I knew the deficiencies with my condition that was around me, where I was living, who I was living with at the time. Whatever I'm doing, I knew that my thought, the way that I thought, the deficiencies, I knew that in my ability to change on my own, or my ability to function properly, all that. And that's what shortcoming means. And when you put all this together, it's just a beautiful pie for us to learn by. When you just go through and you say, oh, this is what this step means. And it's just such a powerful, powerful step, because it is a very humbling step. Because at this time, you are not feeling defeated, but you're feeling like at this point, by step 7, that they're just things that you can't do on your own. And it's okay. And you're not feeling bad or guilty that you couldn't see these things. You couldn't figure it out. Now you're starting to feel grateful for the program, grateful for your sponsor, grateful for your friends in the program that are helping you through, grateful for meetings, grateful, that you have all this stuff to help you. I remember I used to always want help, but I would seek it in all the wrong places, and I wasn't getting the help that I needed. And sometimes the help that I was seeking was destroying me, because the places that I was seeking, it wasn't trustworthy. It wasn't people like me. I was being judged. My stuff was being told to other people. It wasn't like it is in these rooms. In these rooms, it's just a quiet place. It's a safe place. It's a haven. It's people that share their experience with you. You find out you're not the only one doing it, and how they're getting through it, and how they're doing it. And then it's no talking about you and no gossiping, and you don't have to worry about hearing somebody else talk about, what they heard you were doing, or nothing like that. It's just such a beautiful place, these rooms in the 12-step program. So if you're not in there, get in there. If you're in there, stay in there and get well. So let's jump into the big book and let's see what the big book says about step 7. Now this is interesting, because there's only 2 paragraphs really that are on to talk about step 7. But they're very, very powerful. And it's on page 76, and you'll see when they look at step 6. Now, right there, it goes on to say, we have emphasized willingness as being indispensable. So powerful. And it says, are we now ready to let God remove from us all the things which we have omitted are objectable? And it's a question mark there. Are we? Yes, absolutely. I was so ready to change those things around and make them different and act different. Yes. It says, can he now take them all, every one? And it's another question mark. Yes. Take them, show me what to do with them, take them away. But what I knew at that point was that this was going to have to be worked with my higher power, which I choose to call God today. That this, between my sponsor and my higher power, we were going to get this done, and I was going to change. Because at that point, those were the 2 people that I was trusting a lot with the things that were going on around me and in me. It says, if we still cling to something we will not let go, we ask God to help us be willing. And it's so simple. God, just help me. I'm not trying to tell you to do it for me, but can you give me the wisdom and knowledge to help me become willing? And the way that I became willing was by seeing this stuff. I was willing to now that I could identify it, to let it go to another place, to use it in a different manner, to get rid of it completely if I had to. I was just willing, because by the time you get to step 7, you're not in that judgmental stage anymore. You're in that peaceable stage of, this is just how it is. This is how I am. And I'm not as bad as I think I am. And yes, I've done some things and I need to clean it up. But right now, I'm starting to learn to love me. And that's what I got when I got here. And I was so willing to look at those character defects in love And I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have done a step 7 before a step 5 or before a step 1 or before a step 2, because those were all the steps that were preparing me to be able to understand and look at something that could have been devastating to me, and it could have been judgmental. But now I'm looking at my stuff and thinking, okay, we could do something with this. It's okay. It'll be okay, you know? And to have that kind of attitude, no, I couldn't even explain that I had that kind of attitude. It was just coming over me because I had worked through so much stuff. My understanding, the way I saw things were a lot different. So to see these defects of characters, before this program, I would have judged myself and been ready to die, knowing I was like this. But now I love myself and I'm ready to live and get rid of the things I need to get rid of and change the things that I need to change. And it goes on to say, when ready, and I love this because this is the 7-step prayer. It says, we say something like this. And it says, my Creator. And I love that because there is something greater than us that has created us. And I love that it says, my Creator. The one that created me is also, by this time with step 7, is the one that knows me the best. And I learned that in my 5th step when I read my inventory to God. Oh my God, I realized that, you know, he knew all this stuff anyway. And so it's very beautiful that they said, my Creator. And then it goes, I am now willing that you should have all of me. And that is such a beautiful thing to be able to be, if you're anything like me, to be able to trust God again, to be able to trust God with my life. And I was so frightened at God and confused and angry and just turned upside down. And this program, Working the Steps, just adjusted all that. And now I got back to saying, God, I really want you in my life. I really trust now that you're here. And I really trust in that you can have all of me and you're going to do what's best, good or bad. You got this, because I had started to know him differently. It says, have all of me, good and bad. It says, I pray that you now remove from me every single defective character which stands in the way for my usefulness to you and my fellows. And that was so profound to be able to say that. Usefulness to you, God, and my fellows. Not for me, but for my fellows and you. Because when I do that, I get everything, all satisfaction comes to me when I take care of God's business and I take care of my fellows' business. I'm rewarding like nothing I've ever been rewarded like when I do that. And the peace of God just sustains me like nothing I've ever seen before. And I get taken care of. My needs, my situation, it just all gets taken care of. And it goes on to say, grant me strength. Grant me strength. And to say that, I need strength to be able to do this, to be able to practice these principles in all my affairs, to be able to change these habits, these character defects that have been so engraved in me to do things like this. And I'm asking God for the strength to be able to move them out or replace them. I love this. And it goes on to say, as I go from here to do your bidding. And then it says, amen. And it says, then we have then completed step 7. And I like it. It says now, and it goes on to, you know, go into like the 8th step, which we're going to get into that later. But this is basically a 7th step. It's very, very simple. It's just turning all this stuff that we have identified by now over to the care of our higher power, and humbly, you know, it brings us down to such a level, you know, that we just become humble and, you know, to ask God, help us. I just love the part about this is that it makes me humble, and it makes me get in that position where I always want to ask God to help me and not want to do it myself, And it's so funny. You ask God and he'll direct you to your sponsors. Sometimes he'll direct you to means. He'll put somebody just in your path to give you the directions that you need. He's not selfish at all with knowledge and wisdom. I always remember my sponsor saying, God is not trying to take anything away from you, Karen. He's trying to give you everything. And I used to love that when she would say that to me. And this step reminds me of that. He's just wanting me to just get better for myself and my fellow mans and him. And this is a great step to see that, that this is a step that we, at this point, we have identified, and now we're ready to clean it up and move on. So it's about that time. Yes, it's about that time that I need to stop. We'll continue on because this is the month of July, and we're going to be working on step 7 all month. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a lot. I sure did. When I was talking, I was hearing so many good things, and it's nothing like reading the big book. I always say the big book is our Bible, and I only use 4 books at all times, and that's the big book, the AA 12 and 12, the Al-Anon 12 and 12, and the ODAT. Those are the 4 books. Those were the only 4 books that we had when I came in the program. And that's what I learned everything on, and that's what I just stayed with. And I know there's a lot of good stuff, but those are the 4 books that I use. And I always tell you, no matter what program you're in, you're always going to need the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, because that's where the steps came from. And when you see the word alcohol, just put whatever your program is in it, and it'll work really good for you. So listen, I want to always close by saying this: get well. You can. It just takes small steps of wanting it, and then you fight. And you fight for yourself, and you fight, and you try it. Just try it, and you will see it work. This is the great thing about this program. I mean, the first night I was in here, I saw that I felt better just reading the literature. And so you will see that you will start to feel better, and you will act better and everything. But you have to get in these rooms. Get a sponsor. Get a sponsor. Let somebody in. Let somebody help you. You cannot do this by yourself. The group cannot help you as much as one-on-one can help you. And a sponsor is just the greatest place to be in this program with somebody. Listen, stay in these rooms. Go to meetings. Read your literature. Get your sponsor and get well. I'm so glad to see you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. And remember, blessings over you today, great people.